country like Nigeria, where some people lack conscience, no commitment to duty, no faith or piety in the real sense of it, but covetousness, selfishness, and cruelty running in the veins of most citizens and leadership. Hence, mass unemployment and poverty are the order of the day. Therefore, exigent moves are needed to be taken. Self-entrepreneurship, yes, our youths especially have a lot to do as leaders of. One interesting gap exists in the pre- and post-independence history of most developing nations, Nigeria inclusive. Trade by barter was prevalent in the pre-independence. Small but productive activities thrived to put the small groups on sound economic footings. With official declaration of independence came changes in structures and institutions of these nations. The public sector became a glaring employer of labor. Several years of post-independence, many of the developing economies are just coming to terms with the undisputable place of small businesses as the blood of their nation. Hence, Nigerian youths need to acquire skills that can make them independent, irrespective of the scale of production, small or medium, secondary school students alike, and even undergraduates should be able to support their own immediate families. It's possible, yeah. Nowadays, everyone wants to be economically viable. Western education is the vogue. If after our education, with a string of degrees, there is no job, then all the years spent in the educational pursuits tend to become wasted years. However, the technical know-how of modern beekeeping and honey production and the readiness to venture into this business, humbling all wings of ego without nursing any fear, will put smiles on the faces of will-be graduates and up-dash graduates as well. This training is not just meant for the unemployed, but also for the underemployed, the gainfully employed as well, and also the retirees. Come along as I lead you into the nitty-gritties. Producing honey for commercial purpose involves myriads of processes. These processes are site selection, positioning of hives, baiting, harvesting, extraction or processing, and ultimately marketing. In choosing an appropriate site for apiary, the following factors must be considered. The first of them is the accessible road. The apiary must be easily accessible to both human and vehicular traffic in all weathers, whether during the rainy season or Harmattan or heat. This takes care of carrying apiary equipment or honey to and from faraway markets. The second factor to be considered when siting your apiary is the topography. A reasonably level surface must be chosen. Always avoid slopey or hilly areas to prevent hives from being blown away by the wind, and so and for easy movement of apiary workers. Another factor to be considered is the availability of food resources. Nectar and pollen are the main food resources of honeybees. Apiary should be sited very close to these sources of food and where they are abundant to. The shorter the distance bee has to fly in search of food, the lesser the energy exerted, which means the higher the honey production. Water availability is also another factor to be considered when siting your apiary. Bees use water to cool the colony and feed the brood nest. There should therefore be nearby source of water. Another factor to be considered is open space. Colonies should be sheltered to avoid exposure to direct weather. Bees are cold-blooded insects, and they will only fly when the day is warm enough. The location of the apiary in an open space will expose the bees to hot sun or cold air, which tends to make them more aggressive and less productive. Another factor to be considered are the predators or pests. Check for your enemy before siting your apiary. Ants, termites, amphibians are bee enemies. If the location is endemic of these pests and predators, it is better to avoid such an area or take precautionary measures against them. Meanwhile, or in other words, there are some land where there are termitaria or ant hills. Whenever you discover, even if such a land has been acquired by you, make sure you don't use such a land as an apiary, because the termites and the ants will eventually disturb your bees in the future. Another factor to be considered is avoiding waterlogged areas, as they will do a lot of damage to your hives and may not be easy to inspect. Another factor is environmental pollution. Apiary should be prevented against air, water, and agrochemical pollution. Protecting against pesticides like the insecticide may be achieved if there is enough food resources within and around the apiary. Make sure you don't site your apiary in an environment where we have farmers whose predominant crop they cultivate is beans, because there is no way. They always want to protect their beans from the attack of Calosobacillus maculatus, that is the bean weevil. Another factor to be considered is vegetation. Site an apiary away from thick or dense vegetation that may cause damp and chilly environment. A cold, wet, chilly location will aggravate their depression. Open up the vegetation to allow for sun rays and enough light for the bees to perform optimally. Another factor is safety from vandalism and theft. An apiary should be sited not too far away from the beekeeper for regular inspection against theft, vandalism, and pest attack. Another factor, or the last factor to be considered, is avoiding bushfire. Bush burning is a common phenomenon in Nigeria, especially during the dry season, resulting mainly from self-interest on the part of farmers, herdsmen, hunters, and some villagers. Bush burning in most situations gets out of control to destroy a vast amount of forest and vegetation. Fire hazard can be prevented, however, by carrying out good apiary sanitation and also making sure you establish fire trails around your bee farm. C. Positioning of hives and baiting. For optimal performance, a hive should be located to receive morning sun by placing the hive's entrance towards the east. In other words, the hive entrance must be facing the east where the sun rises. This positioning assists colony development. Baiting is the activity that follows after site selection and positioning of hives. This is the process of attracting honeybees to the newly established apiary. This is done by rubbing the remains of harvest, that is the crushed combs, on the bottom surfaces of the bars, inner sides of the hive, and the entrance of the hive. When baiting, one has to be bold, friendly with the bees, and careful not to kill any bee. Apart from the honeycomb, other materials that can be used for baiting are palm wine, lemongrass oil, cow dung, and many more. For effectiveness and efficiency, at Agroraf, we also use multifructose pineapple syrup. D. Harvesting honeycombs. To harvest a good and abundant honey, the colony must be strong. Abundant food supply must be available and good management. When harvesting, the beekeeper should inspect the hive for capped honey frames or bars, as the case may be, and should harvest only ripe honey from the hives, that is, capped honeycombs. Uncapped honeycombs contain too much water and get fermented easily. If the honeycombs are not at least 2/3 capped before harvesting, the moisture content of honey will be very high, and the standard moisture content of honey should be less than or equal to 18%. Harvesting honeycombs, there are some certain steps that must be taken. As a matter of fact, amongst them are you have to put on your protective clothing at about 20 to 50 meters away from where you are to start harvesting. When you get to the hive that you're about to harvest from, you puff smoke into the entrance of the hive and wait for a few seconds. You remove the hive roof and brush the top of the bars or frame to remove all dirt or unwanted foreign materials. Uncap the bars with your uncapping knife and lift the bars up. Start harvesting from the honey chamber and not from that of the brood. Brush off the bees clinging to the comb and cut from the top with the harvesting knife. Keep harvested comb in a covered container to prevent rubbing by the honeybees flying around. Also, harvest only the ripe honey, that is, the sealed, capped ones. Do not harvest honey with brood-filled combs, and do not harvest unripe honey. Place the bars back and cover with the roof. Then what are the precautions you have to take when you are in the apiary, especially when you are harvesting? First of them is make sure you kit up carefully, ensuring that no space is left open. Ensure that you don't stand in front of the bee entrance, but make sure you stand behind it. Ensure that no dead bee or crumb of honeycomb is left at the spot of the harvest, because the sight of such infuriates them as they see all their efforts in futility. There is no doubt that the types and species of insects in existence as part of living creatures are innumerable, yet the honeybees stand out as treasure and perhaps the most useful insects to man. In underscoring the utilities of honeybees, Professor Calvin Frisch, a German zoologist and Nobel laureate, said, "Bee is a magic well. The more you draw from it, the more there is to be drawn." End of quote. Unknown to many, honeybees have many functions in the complex bioecological interactions present in nature, and the most important one is their input into food production through the process of pollination. Pollination is an essential process in the production of seeds and fruits of flowering plants, from which man and animals derive their food for sustenance. In fact, it has been empirically established that plants, crops, shrubs, and trees will produce few fruits or none at all without insects pollination. Yet, honeybees are beyond doubt the most important pollinating insects, providing about 80% of pollination services for different plants, shrubs, and crop species. Yet, honeybee and its products such as honey, pollen, oil jelly, propolis, bee wax, bee bread, and venom offer outstanding therapeutic potential for many debilitating human diseases, including cancer, tuberculosis, mental illness, Parkinson's disease, hypertension, and other cardiovascular disorders. No wonder epitherapy is a fast emerging science to alleviate human sufferings through medical applications of bee products for disease prevention and cure. Worldwide, the efficacy of bee products against many diseases and ill health conditions has been scientifically validated. Honey is used at home as sweetener, used in food industry because it is a high energy food. It is much appreciated by those who wish to avoid highly refined materials and synthetics in their diets. One of the areas in the food industry where honey is used is baking. Honey has been proved to be a desirable constituent in drugs superior to that of similar solutions because of its stability and palatability. Honey, being a natural substance having therapeutic functions, is used in the treatment of some diseases such as ulcers, wounds, burns, conjunctivitis, and also in surgery. Cannot be overemphasized without any fear of complication or side effects. Honey and its byproducts have many healthy benefits for the consumer and are lucrative trade commodities in value-added form. Honey is believed to sharpen the mind, and in teaching Arabic may even be mixed with ink for writing Quranic texts. The Holy Quran says of honey that in it lays the healing for mankind. End of quote. In Christian fasting and Muslims during Ramadan, honey is being used to break the fast. 75% of Medicare in Nigeria is covered by traditional medicine, and all traditional healers use honey in some of their preparations. Honey can be traded internationally or locally or regionally without any loss due to storage. And lastly, honey is a high value product with a stable and lucrative demand. Demand for honey is very high. There are very few beekeepers in Nigeria at the moment, and the demand outweighs the little supply we have. Extraction or processing of honey. This is the separation of liquid honey from the waxy comb. There are three methods vis-a-vis floating, pressing, and centrifuging methods. The floating method is a simple one, but it takes longer period to execute. It also exposes the honey to the danger of absorbing moisture, especially during the rainy season. This problem can be solved if extraction is done in an enclosed container. Floating method is best suited for top bar hives since the combs will be broken in small pieces to make the process faster. Pressing is done with the aid of presser by kneading. The combs are broken into small pieces and packed into the presser. Then run the threading to press out the honey. Centrifuging, which is the third method, involves uncapping the honey. That is, after uncapping the honeycomb, you load the frames in the centrifugal extractor and you spine. Honey is thrown out and is thrown off by the centrifugal to side walls of the extractor to clean the oil and allow it to settle for 2 days. Conclusion. This training strictly focuses on modern beekeeping on a small scale. However, if any intending beekeeper wishes to go on a large scale, he should adopt the Langstroth hive technology because of its advantages over the Kenya Toba hive in that it's easier to manage. Honey harvesting is also easier. Harvesting can be done monthly, unlike the top bar hive, which is usually once per year. The use of centrifugal extractor for Langstroth frames reduces wastages during extraction. It is a proven fact that beekeeping improves the economic condition of the farmers. It restricts the migration of rural youth to urban areas and helps in holistic development of rural society. It is the only enterprise which did not create any problem to the nature, does not require much capital investment and skilled labor. This profession can be successfully adopted by well-to-do as well as small or marginal farmers, farm women, unemployed youths, and retired or in-service persons. More so, beekeeping requires minimal time input and effort because the bees fend for themselves. For questions or inquiries, you can contact us through our email or visit our website or phone number, or contact us through our phone number or WhatsApp number on the screen. Thanks for your audience and thanks for being there. Bye.